How's it? Today is Monday, September 12th, and I am repeating last week Monday. Hopefully a little bit better. Um, Last week, snatch, push, press plus overhead squat, muscles or snatch, push, press plus overhead squat, hang snatch, and front squats were not good. So I worked up to 120 last week. The week prior, so 2 weeks ago, I did 115 for snatch, push, press plus overhead squat. And Steve gave me the option to increase by 3 kilos, 3 to 5 kilos, and I was stubborn, and so I felt like 115 to 120 is a lot nicer interval. It was also easier to load, so I loaded 120. I did not do that very well. I did a power jerk, essentially a snatch power jerk plus an overhead squat, which is not at all what I was supposed to be doing. And so I came back to redo that. 2 weeks ago, I did a hang snatch at 100, and last week I went up to 3 kilos higher than that, so 103. I missed it 3 times. I might have missed it 4 times. So coming back to redo that today. My downsets last week were actually okay, and then front squat I did 2 weeks ago. I did 140 for a very difficult single, and last week I didn't even hit 140. I just did a fat 130 or 143 fail. Here is my top set. Still kind of close to a snatch power jerk, but closer to push press than last week for sure. I might honestly redo this one again next week if this is kind of pushing up. But yeah, as I was mentioning earlier, 143. I had a fat fail last week for front squat. I didn't even come close to doing it. I didn't do 140 either. I went like I think 125 straight to 143, which was a little bit silly, but it is what I did, and it is why I failed. It's not why I failed, but I did fail. And so today I came to redeem myself for all three of those missed weights. 120, push press plus overhead squat. Not the best, but off to a lot better start than I was last week. Last week it was also extremely hot, so I don't know if that was affecting me. I typically like lifting in the hot just because I like feeling like I'm sweating. I like feeling like I'm working harder. Also, I was lifting with Becca last week, so that was a lot more distracting than I wanted it to be. Um, for a good reason. If you're watching, I'm sure you're watching, but for a good reason. But today I came back and I did 103. Pretty. I mean, I made the lift, so it's better than missing the lift. I think there's still a lot left to be desired as far as my technique goes for my hang snatches. I have a big issue with allowing the bar to get away from me at the start position. So if I am able to keep my chest on top of the bar, hinge my hips a little bit better, then my technique is actually a lot better. But what ends up happening is that I am unable to do that at the heavier weights. Here, 70, 80. I think that 70 was pretty good as far as hinging and keeping my chest on top of the bar. This one was pretty good as well. Honestly, I think the 103 was not too bad. It's just not something that I am good at, and I don't like having to reattempt the weights, that I was supposed to do last week. Here's 95. So I don't really miss anything until I do my down sets. I think I also talked about it on Friday, but I'm trying my best to do two things here. Trying my best to keep my shoulders over the bar, and then the thing I mentioned on Friday was to extend a little bit later in the pull. So here's 100, it's my last arm up. That's a little bit out front. A little bit more challenging than I wanted it to be, but I didn't miss, you know, and 103 here, I also did not miss. Yeah. It's actually a lot easier than I was talking it up to be, but it's one of those things that's like if I had executed last week, that it would have been a lot better, right? Because then I would be able to push weight this week. But maybe that's not something that I should be thinking about. Hang snatch is now, I think the percentage wise of 103, 85% of 103 is like 87 point something, and I just rounded up. The first set was really wonky. Second set I tried to fix it, but I fail here. All things leading up to that, like start position up to extension, it was actually pretty good. And then I don't know what happened overhead. Yeah, it's kind of just all over the place. It's really sloppy. I think it does get better on the fourth set. That's pretty good. But I am almost solely focusing on keeping my chest over the bar, hinging at my hips a little bit more. Like that right there. It felt a little bit further behind me than normal because as far as extension goes, the extension was pretty good. So if I pull back on the bar just a little bit, then the position overhead is further back than I'm used to, and so that resulted in that kind of off feeling. Snatch pulls here actually didn't increase the weight again, even though last week I did snatch pulls at 115 just fine. Like I said, I was trying to repeat last week. So yeah, just keeping these 3 doubles here. Trying to do those 2 things I was thinking about earlier again, right? Chest over the bar for longer and then holding onto extension. You see there on that second rep, first thing that happened is my chest kind of dips forward. That's a lot better for that first rep. Let's see if I'm able to do it on the second rep. Nope, not quite. But I think I'm taking steps in the right direction. After that, just finish up with my front squats here. Work up to a set of 1 at 143. I immediately knew that I would be able to do it today just after the first warm up at 60. It just felt like I was a lot stronger, a lot faster than I was last week. 123 here, and then I jumped 20 kilos to go 143. Still very challenging, but maybe better than 2 weeks ago at the 140. Overall, super happy with today. And that's it. Thank you for watching. Shoots.